Okay, we're here in downtown Turners Falls in Massachusetts, and we're outside of Mystic Pinball. We're going to go inside and take a quick look at the place and meet up with one of our friends, Ben, who is doing pinball restorations. He does an amazing job on some of these restorations. I've been helping out doing some of the vinyl install on the sides, and we're going to take a look and see what they've got here at Mystic Pinball and talk to him about what's going on with his pinball restorations and what he's up to. They're closed tonight, but just in case you're curious as to what their hours are, here you go. This is what their hours are. They're open Fridays, Saturdays, Sunday, and Tuesday. So there you go. Those are those hours there. But let's go ahead and take a look inside. Hey Ben, what are you doing? Are you breaking things or?
I'm just trying to break Danny's record is all.
We're trying to, new records?
I think Danny's got my highest score. I'm trying to catch up to him.
So this is the mastermind here right behind the pinball restorations. We're going to talk to him, but first we're going to take a quick look here at Mystic Pinball. We're just going to do a quick tour. This is in his place, but he has helped put a lot of the games here out here. Like he has worked on, for example, the Black Knight pinball machine that's over here. He's done an excellent job on this restoration. And he has also recently worked on X-Files and done a Playfield transfer and all this, that. I think he's going to give us the details on that. And he's also worked on another pretty rare title, I guess, but I don't know it. I'm not a pinball head, or a pinhead, as we should say. This is Agent 777. And this is, we played it a little while ago, and this is definitely a hard game to play. But there we go. Let's go overhead and we'll go talk to Ben about what he does here. What is it, Ben?
This is the legendary Black Knight.
And this is the first game that you did for Mystic Pinball here?
Yes, yeah, Mark told me that he had this Black Knight game. He told me that it was kind of a project game. And when I took a closer look at it, it would have been salvageable, but with a significant degree of heroic triage. And so I said, you know, we could do it, but it's going to be a lot of work. And so he tracked down a Cpr Playfield that somebody had had kicking around for a decade, and he figured it would be more worth it to just do a Playfield swap than to try to restore the Playfield that had been on here, which was, you know, demylarred and had a lot of worn off paint and ball swirls and stuff. So this was actually my first time trying to do a Playfield swap, and it came out really great. It was very satisfying to work on, and now this is one of the cleanest, nicest playing Black Knights that you can go and play out in public.
Yeah, Ben, I totally agree with you. We played it. This thing is buttery smooth, and it's absolutely gorgeous to look at. So you did an entire Playfield swap, and I know some of your specialties rely on, you know, making sure the mechanics of the playing of the game are really good.
Well, that's what it all comes down to. So, you know, anything that requires parts to be replaced, we just went ahead and did it. You know, I'm not a big fan of trying to reuse old stuff. If you read any of Vid's guides on Pinside, he's like, don't try to pinch pennies and save $5 here on reusing coil sleeves or old springs. Just go ahead and put new parts in. This game was meant to last 3 years, and now it's, you know, 30, 40 years later. It's time to go ahead and overhaul all this stuff. On the other hand, we did reuse all those red plastic posts just because they were okay, and I stuck them in the dishwasher, and those came out all right. We put all of the wiring through the dishwasher, so we got all the gunk off of the wires, so all that stuff's been cleaned. I think the boards are Schwimmer boards and Rotten Dogs, because they were just really cooked. They were gone. But everything else is just a process of going through, taking all the parts out, cleaning them up, polishing them, waxing every single thing. The ramps are these really nice aftermarket ramps that somebody made available on Pinside. I wish I could remember the names offhand, but it's just a beautiful mod, which was like, oh, that always should have been there. So that was a natural
that is a nice
fit.
touch.
Yeah, it's really pretty. It's like, oh, the color scheme works really beautifully with everything else. So yeah, it was, the nice thing about doing these jobs for Mark here at Mystic Pinball is that, unlike working for a private collector where it's just going to end up in the basement someplace, anybody that walks in off the street can play a really beautifully restored Black Knight. And while, I mean, I'd be happy to work on pinball for anybody, there's something extra satisfying about knowing that you're going to keep these games going for people in the way that they were originally made, which is just like, hey, anybody that wants to
anybody can come here to Turner's Falls and play this.
Yeah, you
Black
don't have
Knight.
to be somebody that's on the inside of the pinball hobby in order to have this experience. You can just be somebody that is interested enough to show up. And
Although I feel like I'm in on the in right now. So you've done this Black Knight. What else have you done here?
well, to the right of me is X-Files. This game, I think they only made, I think the number is either 1,000 or 1,400 of these. Not a big production run. And this was another one. Mark was able to get a second playfield, so we transferred everything over. Unlike a CBR playfield, this one did not have any indents marked for where to drill a hole, so we had to make a map off of the original playfield using parchment paper to figure out where we're going to drill all the holes for all the posts and all the various things that get screwed into the playfield. There weren't replacement ramps available, so I went ahead and used headlight polish to clean them up.
Ben, these look practically brand new. I mean, everything here looks really nice and clean. I have no complaints about the cleanliness of this game. This game looks like it's brand new off the showroom floor.
When it all went together and I was able to play it again, I actually started laughing because I had played it a little bit before I started the work, just to ascertain what was working and what wasn't, because this was bought at an auction. And it was okay. You could see the potential, but you could also feel that it was like, it was an old game that had been neglected. And once we played on a brand new clear-coated playfield with everything dialed in and cleaned and like well adjusted, it was just so smooth and so fast. The first time I made the ramp shot, I couldn't believe like how quickly the ball had reappeared back to the flipper, because it was just no delay between the time I made the shot and when it was back to me. It was really great.
Yeah. And now, just in case you're wondering, I did help out on this game. I installed the vinyl side art here that we can't see because it's dark, and you know what? Half the time they get wedged in between other games, but you can see this. This is my role in this. I did help install the vinyl on that. If you followed me on the Twitter sphere or whatever you want to call it, I think I posted a couple pictures of me working on it.
And because we're not purists, we went ahead and went with the fan art side decals rather than the original.
Yeah, and I think this looks pretty neat.
It's a pretty great design. I actually thought it was a lot nicer than the original, which just has like basically a big X on the side and just looks kind of vaguely mysterious.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've done this one. I know you've done at least one more here that's at Mystic. So can we go take a look at that one, Ben? Which one is that?
That's the very low production numbers Agent 777, which was designed by Roger Sharp, who you may or may not know was the guy who basically got pinball legalized in New York City in 1976.
Oh, wow, I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. So the story was that Fiorello LaGuardia had... Fiorello LaGuardia had decided that in his effort to clean up New York City, he wanted to rid the city of vice. And because pinball was synonymous with gambling at the time, you can see pictures of LaGuardia like tossing pinball machines.
I think I've seen some of those photos. And just in case you guys were wondering, Ben leaned on Tales of the Arabian Nights and it spoke to us.
Yeah,
that dude was like, shh, you keep it down now.
So when I was looking at this game and I was showing my wife and I was like, this is the weirdest machine I've ever seen. It was like, what are these anthropomorphized number sevens and like, what is going on here? And I had told her the story about Roger Sharp because he went before the city council and like played this perfect game, and they discovered they ascertained that, oh, pinball is in fact a game of skill and not chance. And she was like, oh, this is him talking about the old days when it was considered gambling. And I was like, no kidding, okay, because there's a slot machine, and the sevens are like the G-men, I guess, because they've got their badges, and the other weird fruits on the game are like, you know, mafia guys. It's a very weird idea. It's a very strange concept.
So we were playing this earlier, and I played around, and he's like, so just in case you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, which I had no clue what I was doing. I was looking for blinking lights to hit. Now, but give me the quick rundown again. After we launched the ball, it came back down, and we had a simple premise, which was to kind of stop the slot machine here, right?
Yeah, because when you start playing the game, you have to start these lights going. They're not going just at the beginning of the game. And you have to hit these 3 targets to try to stop the scrolling lights all in a row. You want to have all sevens or all bars or bells or plums or oranges or cherries. And if you can get all 3 of those lit, that's an amazing accomplishment. But you're not done yet, because then you want to hit one of these bonus saucers, which will actually cash in the value of whichever of these you have lit.
Yeah, and I played it, and as soon as Ben told me, oh, this is what you got to do, I'm like, okay, hold on. So I catch the ball down at the flippers, and I start aiming, and by the time I hit that, it was not anywhere what I wanted it to land on. I was lucky to stop it, but nothing lined up at all.
It is insanely difficult, and I mean, I know Roger Sharp was an amazing pinball player. Thanks to him, we have pinball in New York City. That's great. I would love to see him play this game, because I'm telling you, it's damn near impossible.
He might have the timing down. That might be it. Do you think that's why it's low production numbers?
I can't help but wonder.
We can't help it. So, Ben, tell me, what did you do on this machine? Because I know when I stopped by your shop when I worked on the X-Files with you, this was there, and this was recently completed. So what did you do to this machine?
Yeah, the playfield was really in rough shape. It was very chalky. Mark said that he was interested in getting one of these because he knew it was a rare game. He was interested in finding one. And somehow, because he is able to turn up games with an amazing skill that I don't have, he found this in a honky-tonk in West Texas someplace.
A honky-tonk?
And had it shipped to him in Massachusetts. And I surmised, because it was in West Texas, that it was in a really hot, dry environment. So the playfield was very delicate. And just in the process of getting it ready to restore, some of the paint lifted off. I had to do some pretty significant paint repairs on it. Most of the time that I spent on this game was in the actual playfield proper. There was a lot of missing paint, and there were a ton of ball swirls. Like the ball swirls were just like really deep, and there was just like black lines everywhere all over it. So there's a lot of time spent with the magic eraser and alcohol. And anybody that's done playfield restoration knows that there's a very fine line between cleaning the dirt out and just pulling the paint up accidentally.
Right, magic eraser will have a tendency to do that.
It's really an all 4 burners experience. You got to be paying a lot of attention every step of the way. So, first step was just cleaning everything, then putting down a layer of clear. And all of the inserts that you see, none of these have those striations that they came up with later. So these had all divoted and sunken in.
Okay.
So each one of them had to be filled up with clear just to level it off. So there was quite a give and take with, filling the low spots, sanding it out, but without cutting through the paint repairs that you'd done on the previous layer.
So is that something you did, Ben?
I did all of the sanding and paint repairs. The clear work itself is done by a friend of mine who works at a high-end cabinet shop. They've got a really nice spray booth up there. And because he's set up to do the work, it makes more sense to have him shoot the clear. He's got a proper spray booth, he's got all the gear, and he can do it without putting himself.
But you did all that paint repair and left that clear coat up to him.
Yeah. I did most of the level sanding on this just because there was a lot of it, and I wanted to be in charge of it in case anything went bad.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, so just in case you don't know, Ben's background is in fine cabinet making, correct?
Yes, that's how I know the finisher.
Okay, and I've seen him also build an entire pinball cabinet to put these things into. He's restored his roller games, which I think in a few minutes we're actually going to head back to his shop, so we'll take a quick look at that. First we're going to play some more pinball, and then we're going to go back to his shop and take a look at what he's working on currently and see some of his own personal machines and see what he's done with those.
All right.
All right, hey, Ben, let's go hop in the car and we'll go take a look at that, but first let's play some ball.
Sounds good.
Please stand by for reactor startup sequence. Reactor online.
It's the beast! Beast jackpot! I'm ready to blow. Jackpot! Hit the beast! Don't be frightened. I'll protect you. It's the thing. The horrible thing.
All right, we are here now in Ben's workshop. He is a cabinet maker by day, but looking at all these pinball machines here, you wouldn't be so sure that he is in fact a cabinet maker. And he is currently working on the Addams Family pinball machine here. I just helped do some vinyl on the side of that. And here is the Playfield he is working on. And Ben, what are you doing?
I'm putting some nice Titan bands on the, trying to put Titan bands on the mini flipper.
We did just leave Mystic Pinball where we were playing pinball. So we did now come back here briefly to take a look at his shop.
Boy,
And
these suckers are tight.
oh, they are super tight. That's why they're called Titans. But this is the new Playfield, correct? Brand new.
This is a brand new playfield. This is a Cpr Gold Playfield, which has had an extra layer of clear coat added for that extra squeaky clean, extra fast play.
Yeah, so
And,
yep, you can see that there's an extra, I don't know, maybe you guys can see or not, but there is that extra coat on here. It is
It's
super
nice and
slick.
shiny. We got the very overpriced Uncle Fester mod all plugged in just today. And we're coming down to it with the playfield being repopulated. And we should be getting this thing into the cabinet sometime in the next few days.
Oh, very good. So you've repopulated this playfield. You didn't have to
Getting
do any
there.
repairs. Well, you're almost done. Normally, you'll be doing playfield repairs to make sure that it is all nice and squeaky clean, and then you end up getting it clear coated. Correct?
Yeah, the original playfield was sort of borderline, but Mark decided to just go ahead and go fresh with everything. The amount of work that it takes to do a restoration is hard to parse out, but it can end up being kind of the same as the amount of work of doing a playfield swap, so he just wanted to start with a brand new, fresh one. My experience with the CPR playfields is that they're pretty nice, but they don't go crazy on the clear coat. And because I know a guy who can very quickly and easily put down another layer of clear, it just seemed like, why wouldn't we just go ahead and have him do a scuff sand and put down an extra layer, and then this thing will just have that much more protection for the ages. We're waiting on an order from Cliffy. We're going to do protectors on all the kick-out holes, all the usual wear spots, which I'm hoping we'll get here before it's time to put the game into the cabinet, because it's a lot easier to work on that stuff on the rotisserie.
Oh, I'm sure.
And when it's all, you know...
Yeah, here's the rotisserie, so he's able to just spin that entire playfield.
Once again, this is just following the instructions from Vid 1900 on Pinside.
Here we go. Now we just flip it right back over to the other side, and he's repopulated almost the entire thing here. And it is a forest of wires.
It's a lot of wires.
But you do things like making sure that all the flippers are rebuilt. You go through all your leaf switches and make sure everything's adjusted.
Oh yeah, every coil sleeve is new. Every spring is new. Every coil bracket has been cleaned, sprayed with a coat of clear coat to keep it clean in the future. Having gone as far as chrome plating everything, although some people do that, but I've gone to a lot of effort to make sure that everything is going to stay clean and stay moving freely. Wherever things have needed to be replaced, we've replaced them. The subway here is a new one just because the old one was cracked, and while it technically could have been salvaged, the new ones are made out of a thicker material, and it's much more built to last than the original ones were, so we went ahead and just replaced that.
Oh, great. So, Ben, how long does something like this take to do?
Well, this is a pretty top to bottom restoration of a game that wasn't in such good shape to begin with, so you're looking at about 6 weeks.
Okay.
That includes the time to strip down the cabinet as well, standing out the sides, applying and getting it prepped for the decals.
Right, and which we did today. We put the decals on there.
So usually, you know, my plan of attack is I'll strip down the play field. In this case, we did a replacement, but if I'm doing a restoration play field, I'll do the work on the play field that I'm going to do, or just get it stripped down and cleaned. Take it up to the finisher to get a first coat of clear, and while he's at it, I'll have him do the work on the cabinet so that it's ready to go. I always like to have work phased in so that I'm never left twiddling my thumbs. I always like to have things like ready for me to go. So usually with the clear coat, on a case like this, it was a brand new playfield, we wanted to just add clear to it. I got the playfield up to him as quickly as I could, so that he could get the clear applied and we could have time to let it cure before I started to repopulate the playfield. Because you need, CPR says 6 weeks. I think that's a little excessive, but I like to have at least about 10 days to 2 weeks before.
Right, and as some of my people who watch this know, I also do paint, and you want to let things cure, let things harden up.
Yeah. But usually between the amount of work that's involved in cleaning old parts, repairing things, getting the cabinet ready, you have plenty of time with all the different steps that are involved before you get to repopulating. So I've never really felt like it was a problem where I was like starting to add things onto the playfield prematurely.
Oh, great. So about 6 weeks to, go from top to bottom on one of these things. And what's the next thing you're planning on working on?
I've got a Star Trek The Next Generation sitting over there.
There it is, hidden in the back.
Oh yeah. That one will be a comparatively easier job because the cabinet's in really good shape. I think most of the mechanisms are actually working. The boards are in good shape. The boards on this Adams handler are pretty cooked, so they're actually at Coin-Op Cauldron waiting right now to come back.
Right, and you'll send boards out to get things taken care of, and your primary focus is how the game plays, the mechanics of the game.
Yeah, I want the game to play as well or better than factory, and anything involved that's a mechanical, physical thing. With the cabinets, if there's damage to the cabinet, I like to repair that stuff and make sure that it's going to hold the test of time. And brackets on the cabinets, the leg brackets are often shot. We replace them with the better, upgraded, newer kinds. Anything like that I can do physically hands-on. When it comes to electronics work, I know that I'm not the guy to do that. I know that there are people that are the guys to do that, so I'd rather just send them the boards and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Have them go over it thoroughly, and they can tell whether the board is salvageable or not.
Right.
Power board on this game, Clive said it's just too far gone, so we're going to be putting a rotten dog into this one, because that's just the way to go on certain games that have just been through the ringer.
Right, and you're able to take care of all that, send things out, but you've also done some work on your own games too, right? You have a few.
They're right over here.
Right, we walked in and we
System 11 row.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I think when I first met Ben, I helped him work on one of these games. I believe it was this roller games
It was.
right here, and we put the big vinyl decal on the side here. We did
Brand new
it.
cabinet.
Brand new cabinet, that's right. So you built another cabinet for it because the old one was toast, right?
It was really, really just not salvageable. There was not much left of it.
And
So-
then I think I even visited you at one point in time, and you were doing probably water slide decals on this
There are a few
playfield,
on
right?
here. Yeah. Some of the insert lettering is water slides. Some of the playfield art is also water slides. I don't think you can really see it. It's way in the back. There was a halftone dot area which was worn out from a ball drop, and so that's been restored in a two-part process. And actually, this skater up here, number 5. Because the ball drops right onto him, that was down to bare wood.
Oh, wow.
So that's been restored back to its original color and line art.
So I'm not gonna lie. When I saw this thing when you got it back from getting it clear coated, I couldn't believe how this thing looked. It was spectacular, Ben.
It really
It was spectacular.
it's
You
surprising.
can
This
be
is the-
humble now, but this was spectacular.
Well, this was the first game that I ever restored. It was sort of handed over to me as a pile of parts, and I had never really considered doing restoration before. But I was like, all right, I've got this thing in front of me. I guess I'll give it a shot. And knowing somebody that had a spray booth who could do the clear safely, it was like, all right, I'm gonna try my hand at this. I read Vid's guide. I followed his instructions to the letter. And, when I plugged it all in, there were a couple of bad solder joints, which is on me. But overall, it actually was a pretty quick process to get it up and running 100%.
Yeah. This looks great.
And if anybody has this big plastic, I'm looking for one of these.
All right,
part
anybody
that's missing.
have the roller games plastic here on the right side there?
I've thought about coming up with
Ben
some
needs
really,
one.
Yeah, I'm looking into designing a really cool 3D printed scaffolding plastic that would fit over
That
there.
would fit.
It would be pretty neat, but it's like one more project,
Yeah, of course. Then you've also got your diner that I know I've played, that you've done a lot of the mechanical side of things, but you haven't done a playfield restoration. But this game plays great.
Yeah, the diner is one that I got from a guy in Eastern Mass, and it was pretty good when I bought it. I've rebuilt the flippers and the pot bumpers and done a general cleaning. I've added some Cliffy protectors where it needed them. Right now it has a playfield protector over it because some of the artwork that's worn on it, I haven't quite figured out what's the right way to address that. And I thought, well, in the short term, I can just slap this playfield protector on it, and that'll keep it playing nicely.
Yeah.
And in the long term, I will either, figure out a way to do it or put a CPR in it because I understand they're doing repros now.
Yeah, and then next up, I know you've talked about doing this Pinbot project for quite some time, but you'll get there, I think.
Yeah,
I think you're working on F14 for yourself right now, right?
F14 is ready to go.
Okay.
F14 is all up and running.
Oh, right, I remember. Okay.
So F14 has had every insert replaced, and every insert has a water slide decal over it because they all have numbers on them and letters on them.
That wear off all the time.
Although the inserts on this are notorious for creeping up or sinking. Mine had Mylar all over it, which was bubbling because of the moving inserts. And so all the Mylar came off, all the inserts came out. They've all been replaced, all been glued down according to Vid's guide. And it plays like butter now. It actually played pretty well before, but it was only going to degenerate bit by bit. So now the ball just glides across. It's really a pleasure to play, and it should be good to go for a good long time.
Great.
So Pinbot was the first game I bought. I got it for $700 from a restorer who's announced it too far gone. And at the time I thought that was ridiculous, but now I understand what he meant. So I actually have an old stock playfield from another Pinbot, which I'm going to do a restoration job and clear coat on, and eventually that will be swapped out. And that will be the next big project in my personal collection.
Oh, very nice, Ben. Well, I'm going to say it is just about time to go to bed, but if you guys ever want to get a hold of Ben, he is on Pinside, Seth Benjamin, correct?
That's correct.
And he's posted on there a couple times. You can follow some of his threads. And do we want to give them any contact information? Do we want them to get a hold of you?
You can email me at sethbenjamin@gmail.com, and
We'll put that somewhere below, and you guys, you know,
Yes, that'll
down
appear
here,
magically.
or there, or somewhere above Pinball. I don't know.
And the website's on its way, but I haven't got the URL, so I don't want to pretend I have it
Okay.
yet.
Well, all right, we won't pretend yet, but you know, this is something he's been doing. He's a cabinet maker by day, and almost a pinball restorer now by day, with the amount of work I've seen him do lately. So.
Might be moving in that direction.
All right. Well, Ben, thank you for having me. We'll continue doing more vinyl the next time, and it's been a pleasure, Ben.
Hey, Tim, thanks for coming by. It was really great to have your help.
All right. Take it easy. Have a good night.
See you later.